you know, in my best spoken Hebrew. And he says to me, Reb Leibel, Gebalta da bracha. Did you get the bracha? And I said, the bracha? Achalti kvar lifnei shatayim. I already ate 2 hours ago. You know, I need lo ochel od levarech. You know, and he said, lo bracha al ochel, not the bracha for the food. He said, I'm translating for you. Okay. He says, Abracha. He says to me, like, I'm supposed to know what he's talking about. And I said, oh, those Osher Yatzar posters that we have in our office that we distribute all over the world. You've seen those one with the drawings around the outside. They have them in Farsi and in Spanish and in Russian and all the languages. I said, Yesh Harbe Od Sham. There's many there at the place that we're going to. He said, lo. Baracha. He says to me, baracha. And I'm looking at him, totally mystified. What does he want from me? He says, bracha mi ishtecha. The bracha from your wife. And he says, how? He says, how can a person, he starts quoting me statement after statement from the sages, that that the blessing comes into the house only in the merit of the wife. And he quotes me another statement. I've heard these statements and I've seen them before and I've had them highlighted in books at home, Svarim at home. But he's hitting me one after the other like a machine gun. And I'm listening and I'm going, okay, you know, I hear. I told him, but Rabbi Cohen, we're late. He says, we'll wait, okay? Suddenly he's speaking English. He said, the bracha. We're speaking there for 7 minutes trying to understand each other. And finally, I'm going back up the house. I climb the hill like a sheep, and I go and I knock on the door at my house. That's what you do before you enter your own house. I knock on the door, and I open up the door and I come in. There's a split level house with a railing up above, and suddenly my kids come running out and they say, Ima, Abba came back home. I left 7 minutes ago, and my wife comes out with twins and wrapped in a towel, just got out of the bath, and she said, what's going on? And I'm standing on the landing looking up at her. And I said, I forgot the bracha. And my wife said, I think we ate about 2.5 hours ago. I don't think you're allowed to make an after bracha anymore. And I said, no, Ima, the bracha. And she says, those Asher Yatzar posters, we got like boxes, take whatever your language you want on there. Farsi, Chinese, you know, we got them all. Whatever you want to take, just take them and go. You were in a hurry before, you were late. And I said, no, Ima, she's not getting it, you know. The bracha from you. And she's looking at me like, have you been drinking? You know? And I said, no. She said, did you lose your job? I told her, I'm self-employed. That's hard, you know. And I said, Ima, I said, ain't a bracha shui b'tok beisel shaladam ela b'schus ishto. The blessing comes into the house, and blessing means money, my friends. Only in the merit of the wife. How can I be successful in giving a lecture or doing anything, any kind of business deal or anything, unless I get your blessing? And my wife says to me, who might a Lubavitcher Rebbe? What do you want from me? I said, Ima, don't torture me. I said, I need your bracha. I need your bracha, Ima. So she sees that I'm serious. I'm not going anywhere at this point. And so she thinks, her eyes close, they roll way in the back of her head. And she said, first of all, you should have kvitzas aderech. You should have a quick way to get there. Kvitzas aderech coming home. You should get home quickly. You should find a marv sometime when you're out there. And while you're there, she said, the words should come out of your heart, enter into the heart and the minds of the people who are there, and should make a difference in their lives and in the lives of all the Jewish people, should make a difference in the whole world. I said, Amen, whoa. And I turned back to her and I said, Ima, I hope that the kids magically fall asleep and the homework gets done and the house gets cleaned up and you get a chance to read your favorite book and talk to your best friend on the phone. And she goes, oh, man, you know, good luck to me without you, without any help. So I said, okay. And I leave. And, you know, we went and gave a lecture, and it was a stupendous, it was an amazing lecture that night. And I felt the wind in my sails. And I realized that, wow, and I came home later on, I told the Ima, the lecture, because of your bracha, made such a huge difference. It really did. And because of that small piece of advice that I got from Rabbi Cohn, it came out that I don't go anywhere, and my kids don't go anywhere. I'll pull over to the side of the road, I'm about to go into a lecture, I'm about to give a class, I'm about to start something, and I say, Ima, Tani bracha, give me the bracha. I need the bracha. I can't do anything unless I get the blessing from my wife. And the beauty of it is that we're always together, even if we're working in different realms and different domains, we're doing things together even when we're separate, and it's beautiful. And my children, if they're going to go for a test, or they're going for a basketball game, or whatever it is, they come and they bow their head, they said, Abba, Ima, give me the bracha. The bracha became a contagion of giving brachas and giving encouragement to each other in the house. It set a fire, a beautiful fire in the home. It's beautiful. And it even went so far that one of the famous lecturers in the Jewish world, who used to come to my lectures and sit and take notes, he handed me a tape one day. And in this tape, he's saying that he heard from me, that this guy, that if you get a bracha from your wife, it's going to make a big difference. It put winds in your sails. So he said he started following that practice, and he used to come to my lectures, and now my merit became that I would come and substitute for him once in a while. He took off like a rocket ship. And he made a difference in the whole world, and he said it all became because he started getting a bracha from his wife. And he became so influential that I even came to him and I said, maybe I can get a bracha from your wife too? And he said, no, Rebbe Leibel, you got to get a bracha from your wife, I get the bracha from my wife. So it really is a very powerful and an amazing thing to be done, is to get that bracha. But I just want to give one little caveat, one little Surgeon General warning over here. I don't think it was too many months later, and we were practicing it. It was going great. And then one night, as Chataya Ani Maskir Hayom, I set a world record. I was home for about 8 minutes that I needed to turn around and just to get out and to give a lecture some other place. I think I was expecting a ride that night also. And in those 8 minutes that I was home, I got 10 kids crying, you know? They said, don't draw with a crayon on the wall. Put that down. I told you never leave. And if you ever, and they all started running to Ima. You know, I just did the worst thing, the quick parenting thing. Too quick, too aggressive, and everybody's crying, Ima. And then I hear the honk outside. Bum, 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 bum. And I said, oh, Ima, can you, with all the kids around her, I said, Ima, can you give me the bracha? And she asked me, she says, what are you lecturing on tonight? I said, Chinuch Yeladim, educating children. She says, my bracha is that they should see right through you. I said, that's the bracha? She goes, that's the bracha for tonight, yeah? So my simple birchas hediyah, my simple blessing to everybody over here, and my eitzah that I'm sharing, that I've shared from Rabbi Simcha Cohen. I have to meet up with him. Haven't seen him since then. But my simple is to get the blessing and to give the blessing. Everybody needs encouragement. Encourage each other as much as you possibly can. But make it even into a formal thing to get that bracha. And it's going to make a difference in your life. You'll see immediate results in Parnasa and in Shalom Bayis and all good things. But again, not only is it important to give the bracha and to get the bracha, but most importantly is to be worthy of the bracha. So when you get that bracha, it's going to make a big difference to you and to your entire family and to all the Jewish people. Thank you very much for the time together.
Thank you, Rabbi Lam. I just want to share a short idea with everyone tonight that I think you'll find meaningful. Last week when I was at this conference, Rabbi Dr. Akiva Tatz, spoke about the topic of happiness. And this is a topic that's close to my heart. I'm actually working on a book, the early stages of a book about this topic. And Rabbi Lam is actually, Rabbi Tatz actually just wrote a book about Shabbos and holidays. It's going to be in the bookstores in the next few weeks, and it's about 50 pages regarding the topic of happiness. So I just want to share with you a brief idea that he said and how I think it relates to all of us. So he made a very interesting observation. And he said that in life, we strive to accomplish a goal. We're excited to accomplish something. If you tell a person all that effort that you're putting in, but you're not going to get to your result, you're not going to accomplish it. Let's say you're building a house or a family or whatever you're doing, you're not going to get to that goal. The person will lose their motivation. Because the motivation is because we are striving to accomplish something. We as human beings, we're extremely motivated. And it actually gives us joy to overcome gravity, so to speak, to overcome our challenges, to work against all odds and accomplish amazing things. So if you were told that you're not going to reach your destination, you would lose hope and lose that desire to move forward. But the interesting thing is that when you get to that destination, the real enjoyment is the process that led you up to there. All the steps that brought you to that final point is really where you get the satisfaction. So it's a little bit interesting, right? Our enjoyment, our happiness is because we're reaching towards a goal. But ultimately, when we reach the goal, it was the process and the effort and the steps that we took to get to that goal that really we look back at and say, wow, that was meaningful. And he made a very interesting point also. He said that it says in the time of Mashiach and Olam Haba, when the world to come, it's brought down that the trees will taste like the fruit. The actual tree will have the same taste as the fruit of that tree. And he made a point and he said, the message is that when we get to the final destination, which is what Olam Haba is about, we'll realize that the process is the result. And that's why the tree will taste like the fruit itself. Because the process itself, the tree is like the process to bring out the fruit, is also the result. And I would like to bring this message into our relationships. In our lives, we often get frustrated by situations that go on. Children that are not acting exactly the way we think they should, educational issues, financial issues, all different problems and issues that could come up in our life. But I believe that we need to keep our mind not just on the ultimate goal, but also realize that the process is really so important as well. And I would like to use the term embrace the process. Because in that process, in those actions, in dealing with those struggles, is really where we build our greatest character. And ultimately, when we reach the destination, we're going to look back at all those steps and realize that those steps is where the real joy came from. So yes, it's amazing to have goals. And I know many of you in this room, and those who I don't know, I look forward to getting to know. And there's a lot of aspiration in this room. There's a lot of goals. There's a lot of dreams. And it's amazing to have dreams. It's amazing to have unbelievable goals of building and creating and doing. But it's also important to remember that there's a process. And in that process is really where the true simcha, the true joy lies in the process. You know, we say in the pasuk, we say, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. Tehillim, we say, serve Hashem with joy. In the pasuk in Parashas Kisavo, it says, Tachas asher lo avad Hashem lokecha lo avadata. You didn't serve God with joy. And Rabbi Tass pointed out, because simcha, joy, is an avoda. It's a work. It's a work in order to be able to appreciate the process. And if we can learn to appreciate the process, we can bring joy into everything that we're doing in life. There's actually some very interesting studies that came out that people look forward, the anticipation of a vacation is actually more pleasurable than the vacation itself. Okay? So somebody made an argument once, don't go on the vacation. Just look forward to going and don't go. Because once you go on the vacation, it often doesn't meet what your expectations were, right? But I think that it's good to have aspirations. It's good to have goals. It's good to look forward to amazing things. But at the same time, we need to appreciate the process, whether it's a relationship issue that we're dealing with or any kind of issue that we're dealing with. That process is, we're infusing joy into that process. we actually can really appreciate our life in a whole different level. Thank you, everyone.